Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where we're very pleased to have on the show Sid Geautreax. He's the sheriff for East Baton Rouge Parish, and Sid's going to talk to us about the three hats he wears. He wears a criminal law enforcement hat, he wears a civil kind of law enforcement hat, and he also wears a prison hat. He also wanted me to make sure that supporters knew that he very much appreciates their support, but he has no intentions of running for mayor. So join me on the next Legal Lines with Sid Geautreax. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm very pleased to have on the show today the sheriff for East Baton Rouge Parish, Sid Gautreaux. Sid, great to see you.
Locke, good seeing you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming back and talking to the folks. Let's kind of dive into the three hats that you wear as sheriff. Basically, as I understand it, it's a kind of a crime hat, criminal hat, law enforcement hat, the civil hat, which is dealing with the court systems and property tax collections, and then you got the prison hat. Is that right?
That's exactly right. We have the criminal division, the civil division, and then we have corrections. So, and all three are separate entities, but each one of them are vitally important to the overall operation of the department.
So it's almost like you're an administrator, so to speak, of three separate businesses or corporations, or however, and they're all dealing with different things.
That's exactly right. And you know, I learned a long time ago that the key to success is putting the right people in the right positions.
Absolutely.
And I've been very blessed within each one of those divisions to have some great people at the helm of each one. I've got Bobby Callender, he's my colonel, Ralph Williams, my lieutenant colonel in the criminal office, so that's taken care of there. Over in the civil office, I was fortunate enough to get Stephen Email, who was 15 years Deputy Director of Finance for the Department of Public Safety. He's my Chief Civil Deputy. And of course, I went out and got a 25-year veteran in the corrections field from the state corrections, Warden Dennis Grimes. He was associate warden, assistant warden at Dixon, and he's out at the prison. So
you got a lot of expertise in a lot of different fields.
Right.
Well, let's talk about the law enforcement hat first, and we'll talk about the other two after this. But I was reading Business Report, and they did some kind of survey, and it's talking about folks are willing to spend some money. In fact, I think it was in the context of, would you support a bond proposal? And folks actually indicated, which frankly surprised me, that they were willing to spend some money to address infrastructure, and part of that being crime.
That's right.
So let's talk to folks about that. And explain to them what your jurisdiction is versus, say, the city police.
Well, as sheriff, under the state constitution, I'm the chief law enforcement officer for the entire parish. So our office, the sheriff's office, has jurisdiction throughout the parish. Our primary concern is with the unincorporated areas of the parish, because we are the only law enforcement they have. But that doesn't mean that we can't be equally concerned with what's taking place in Baton Rouge, Baker, Zachary, wherever, because it affects all of us. And I have a responsibility to the public to address all of it. So we work together hand in hand with all the other agencies. We've started a lot of initiatives since we've been in office, multi-agency initiatives where we work together and bring agencies from both the state, federal, and local levels together.
I know when I was a kid, I used to think, if I was outside the city limits, Baton Rouge City policeman could not give me a ticket, and vice versa if I was in the city. That's really not true, is it?
Well, Baton Rouge City's jurisdiction and their authority lies within the incorporated limits of Baton Rouge City. Same thing with Baker, same thing with Zachary. And they can't give tickets outside the city.
But you guys can give tickets inside.
We're like the mini state police. State police, they might be at Troop A, but they can give tickets over in Troop L.
Gotcha.
So it's the same thing with us. We have that authority. We have that throughout the parish.
And there's I guess a question in my head is we've got the Baton Rouge City Police Department, and then we've got the Sheriff's Office. And you indicated that there are initiatives where y'all were working together. I know when we first talked to you, I can't believe it was almost 4 years ago, as you're pointing out, that one of the main pushes you wanted to accomplish was coordination of services and resources with the State Police, Baton Rouge City Police, Sheriff's Office. How is that taking place?
One of the first things I did, I wasn't in office 2 weeks, and we held a meeting at the Louisiana Sheriff's Association, and I invited every law enforcement agency, both on a state, federal, and local agencies for 8 parish region. We had about 125 in attendance, and I just opened the door and set the tone at that point, saying that we're here to work and cooperate with any other agencies on any endeavors, and that's worked out well. Actually, to this point, we've had limited participation from Baton Rouge City Police, but I've spoken to the new chief, and he's indicated to me that he wants to get on board with a lot of the things we're doing, and I'm looking forward to that.
And I guess that's the new Baton Rouge City Police Chief, White. He was just chosen in the last couple days. Right. Let's talk to the folks about kind of the resources and where they're allocated, because as I understand it, we've got a population of around, say, 460, 400, but you subtract Baker, Zachary, that brings us down around 430 or so. And basically, Baton Rouge City Police is taking care of about half that population. Sheriff's Office taking care of about the other half of the population. But you have a lot less deputies. Actually,
they police a little higher number than we do, a couple hundred, maybe 20, 30,000 more people than we do. But we have a lot bigger area to cover than they do. And right now, even with the increase, we've increased the force by about 30-something deputies. I think you said and we're in the process of doing some more. But our Uniform Patrol Division has approximately 170 deputies, and then our Detective Division has approximately 120. So we have a little less than 300 deputies, as opposed Baton Rouge, I think, has somewhere in the neighborhood with detectives and uniform patrol, somewhere in the neighborhood 500, 550.
And Sid, everything I hear is that, I think the mayor's told me this, and police chief previously had told me that 80% of the crime takes place within the city limits. And really, frankly, in North Baton Rouge, from a geographic standpoint, and I guess that would account for the greater number of Baton Rouge police officers versus the needs of the deputies. Does that make sense, and is that right?
It's partly right, yeah. And I think as far as the crime you spoke about, they've identified 3, well, actually 4 different area codes, which most of those crimes are being committed in. 3 of them are in the city of Baton Rouge. One of them is kind of splits between City of Baton Rouge and
Would that
parish.
Be like the Gardere area or something like that?
No, actually, Gardere has gotten a lot better. Of course, that's where when we started, we knew that 40% of all our calls for service came out of Gardere. So when we started our initiatives and started our community policing and our bike patrol and so forth, we put those forces in Gardere. And it's not to say that Gardere is fine now, because they still have problems, but it's nowhere near where it used to be.
Well, that's great news, though. It's showing that y'all identified a problem and you dedicated the resources and you're getting positive results.
Right, and we've moved those resources around. You know, you can't go in an area and do what we've done in Gardere and just forget about it and go somewhere else. But we have other areas in the parish and in the city that we've addressed, that we've gone to, you know, with the same type initiatives. And we're in the process of trying to expand our community policing and so forth to do this and more consistently in all areas.
Well, every law enforcement person that I've spoken with has indicated they need the community, they need the neighborhood folks and the faith-based folks.
That's right.
They need eyes and ears, because you guys can't do it on your own.
Well, that's exactly right. And you know, I tell everybody that this is not just a law enforcement problem, and I know I'll talk more about it after our break, but it is just a law enforcement problem. I mean, we need to do everything we can on a law enforcement front to combat crime, but we can't do it without the public.
We'll be right back. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. Sid Gautreaux, the Sheriff of East Baton Rouge Parish. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. Again, I'm very pleased to have on the show today Sid Gautreaux. He is the sheriff for East Baton Rouge Parish. Again, Sid, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, let's we talk about the success that you had by focusing resources, but you can't do it without the community. And I assume that was reason, in a large part, that was successful.
Our approach to crime with the sheriff's office and combating crime, trying to make it a safer place for all of us, is twofold. One, we do a tremendous amount of community outreach. And what I mean by that, just like with our community policing, with deputies getting out of their vehicles, walking door to door.
So it's relational.
Right. It's opening up a line of communication between us and the public, letting the people know that we care, that we're here to help. We're not going to be here today, gone tomorrow. And it's maintaining that relationship. And Locke, it's amazing, veterans that's been in law enforcement, 15, 20 years, what they're seeing now that's happening in these communities where we have these community outreach is that the cooperation we get. A lot of times
Really?
we get called to come to a shooting or something, and we're getting a call from someone before we get on the scene, the guy you're looking for is such and such. So the community has built that trust, and we've built that trust with them, and we can't do it without them. But, it's twofold. You got to do a lot of community outreach, which we do. We challenge each one of our substation commanders to come up with his or her idea of what they want to do at least once a year to reach out to community, and they call on the faith-based community, civic associations, the business associations, everybody to come together, have some kind of community function. And we've done that now, and that's helped. But it's not just the community outreach. You have to have equal amount of enforcement, and we do a lot of innovative and aggressive enforcement, and a lot of it is what our initiatives that we've gone, and we've had like I said, agencies from both the federal, state, and local every time we do one of our initiatives, and we've gone into some of the worst areas in the parish, but they've been very, very effective.
And I think you indicated that you've hired 30 new deputies, and I think maybe prior to the show you were telling me that y'all have new substations.
Right. We were able to, the north part of the parish, Council District 1, is actually one-third of the land mass for East Baton Rouge Parish.
Wow.
And the population has increased in that area as well as it has in others. So I knew from being with the sheriff's office back in the 70s that we just did not have enough coverage up in that area. So we were able to, we've opened one substation in the plains above Zachary, over in the Port Hudson area, and we're in the process of opening the second one up in the Pride area, Pride, Cheneyville area, up in the northeast part of the parish.
Yeah, I think of that as central.
Yeah. And this is the benefit from it. Number one, we were able to accomplish that by a cooperative endeavor we entered into with the city of Zachary on land there.
Excellent. And
with the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board with land they owned out in Pride.
So there's a uniting of resources.
Right, that's exactly right. And then the big thing, the kicker with it that made it all really happen, ExxonMobil donated to us a 15,000 square foot modular building. So we had it appraised. It was appraised for $700,000. So we took 10,000 square foot and put it at Zachary. We took the other 5,000 square foot and putting it at Pride. And what it does...
Well, I love to hear the businesses contributing.
Because
they need their employees to be safe, and they want a great community to grow up into.
And that's what it takes. It takes all of us. But what it does now, we have deputies in those areas 24/7. And prior to that, we made few patrols through those areas, but we were having to pull deputies from Scotland Sub to go up on the northwest part of the parish to handle calls. We were having to pull deputies out of Central to do the same thing on the east side, northeast side of the parish. So no longer will we have to pull deputies out of their zone to go into another area to work, and then they go back. So we're getting better coverage up there.
Well, let's talk about the crime statistics. again, folks are under the impression, I think, that crime is up. Now, I know homicide is just a big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Already this year, we've worked as many homicides as we worked the entire year of last year.
Why is that happening, Sid? Is it drug related?
A lot of it is drug related. I would say probably 80% of it is drug related. Some of it is crime of passion, but the majority of it to me is drug related. Our crime stats, our UCR stats from 2009 to 2010 in the parish.
So excluding the city.
Excluding the city of Baton Rouge. We had a decrease of 8% in our major crimes, which is arson, rape, robbery, theft, burglary, homicide, auto theft. We actually had a reduction of 8% in those major crimes from 2009 to 2010. The only area we had a slight increase in arsons. But, it's going to take the whole village. And there's a lot said to that. And, I've got an analogy that I use when I look and see what's going on the streets. And Locke, I could take you out there, and the average young person that we have to deal with on the street, you can look them in the eye and say, where are you going to be 5 years from now? And they don't hesitate. They tell you, I'm either going to be dead or in prison. And that's really
no hope.
No, it's almost like they have the mentality that they live in a third world country. That there's nothing out there for me, and that's we've got to change that.
Well, I had the district attorney in Hiller Moore, and every law enforcement person that I talk to, and I think you've probably told me this, is that the great problem is our youth. The education, truancy, stable environment. I
got a prison full of people in East Baton Rouge Parish at the prison, and I can tell you there's two main things that just stand out about the people that are out there. The vast majority of them have an addiction, drugs, alcohol, or both. I would say probably 95% of them.
Good gosh.
The other thing is the average educational level is the 6th grade. So a lack of education and an addiction is
recipe for prison.
That's right. They're both two key factors in a life of crime.
And it sounds like the kids that you have to talk to know that.
They do, and it's just like there's nothing that they have nothing really to live for, nothing to hope for.
So is there any component of the sheriff's office in conjunction or by itself to try and target those kids?
Yeah, we've got a strong DARE program, and it's not just the 5th grade. We go up through junior high with it. Our deputies are in 40 different schools in the parish, both private and public schools. So we work with that.
DARE does what? Goes in and tries to educate them, tell them these facts?
They go in there and educate them. DARE is a drug abuse resistance education program. And really, quite frankly, it's the best thing I've seen. If they come out with something better, I'll go to it, but I hadn't seen anything better yet. And those deputies are in the school, actually part of the faculty, and they work with those kids every day. And in conjunction with that, we have our school drug task force, and our SCAT team goes into the schools and works with kids.
And obviously, if we can stop it there, we've got a lot better chance of shutting it down in the next time. This is Locke Meredith, Legal Line. Sid Gautreaux, the Sheriff for East Baton Rouge Parish. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and again, very pleased to have on the show Sid Gautreaux. He is the Sheriff for East Baton Rouge Parish. Sid, we're talking about the youth that you see in the prisons, and they're either addicted to drugs or alcohol, and less than a 6th grade education. So what are we doing?
Well, besides the things that we're doing in the schools, we've also started a program. We've gone from 2 self-help programs at the prison to 12. But two of the things that we offer the youth, and I'll have one to attend next week, is what we call Reality Behind Bars. And we bring those troubled youth in several times a year, and actually the prisoners themselves put on skits and talk to these kids one-on-one and tell them, this is what I did, these are the mistakes I made to get where I am, and this is where I am now, in hopes that they can reach some of these children and try to turn their lives around. But Locke, to me, the problem to this is going to take all of us to try to solve, and it's going to take a while because we've evolved over years to where we are now. But I'm going to use this triangle analogy.
All right.
What built my character, what formed my character, that triangle, the base of that triangle was my home. One side was my school, and one side was my church. And no matter where I was in that triangle, I got the same message. Right or wrong, good over evil, do the right thing no matter what the cost. And if I didn't do the right thing, I had consequences to face no matter where I was in that triangle. My circle of influence, my faith in God, you know, the movies I watched, the TV I watched, the role models I had, you know, all the positive images, the friends I had, it was the same thing, right over wrong, good over evil. But today, so many of these youth that we're dealing with, that triangle, the home is broke. If it is, it's usually one parent home. It's usually a mother who's working 3 jobs just to try to keep things together. They've dropped out of school. They're not in church. But what does exist is that circle of influence and the music they listen to, the TV they watch, the lack of role models, all the negative messages they got. And it's going to take that whole community. It starts at the home, but it's going to take the school, it's going to take the church, it's going to take the business community, it's going to take all of us because we all are role models.
Sid, I was in a McDonald's yesterday, and a young guy had a little puppy in his coat, and a police officer who wasn't in his uniform came in and said, that dog needs to go out, and he told the management. And that kid was so belligerent, and it was as if he had never been faced with any kind of authority or required any kind of respect from him. When he was told that the guy was a police officer, he didn't care. I'd never seen quite anything like it. And it's confirming what you're talking about, and that is that they just have nothing, it seems like, that they can fall back on other than themselves and maybe a gang.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we see it every day. We see it every day in law enforcement.
It's a sad situation, and I don't want to say we're hopeless or they're hopeless, and I guess all you can do is we can notify the community of what the need is and pull the resources.
That's right. And you know, you can't say it's hopeless, and it's just like the media with all of the deals we're doing out at the prison. You know, it's like I say, whether we keep somebody 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years, we're going to do everything we can to expose them to the right things.
So what is the self-help program? What exactly is it?
Well, one thing we've done, we've opened a faith-based wing. That's a whole wing that's just a faith-based, and all denominations come in. People come in on a daily basis and have instruction with them. And
so any church, any program,
any church,
if they want to volunteer to help
we have right now about 120 volunteers that come into that prison every day.
But boy, we need to get that message out. That folks who want to pour into these kids have a great opportunity.
That's exactly right. We started a GED wing, which prisoners that want to get an education can get in a learning environment. And that's nothing but GED prisoners there, and we've graduated over 300 with GEDs.
Fantastic. Now, how do folks come in and volunteer to teach them?
Once again, we got volunteers.
So you don't have to just do it if you're not into the faith-based side. Come in and educate these kids.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, and you know, one reporter asked me, he said, well, you really think it's going to make, all these programs are going to make a difference? I said, yeah, I really do. I said, I can't tell you how much, but I said, if I can keep one of these people from coming back in here, and recidivism is what kills these systems. That's what's wrong with the state right now. We've got so much recidivism, you know, within 3 to 5 years upon release, this is national statistics, those that are incarcerated today, upon 3 to 5 years of their release, 70% of them will be back in prison. Something's got to change.
Yeah, that's not fixing the problem. Throwing them in jail or prison is not going to
No, it's
to
not.
change.
That
It makes it
that in
worse,
itself,
doesn't it?
no. Well, it does if you don't offer these other programs, because there are people in there that say, I'm tired of living like this. But if they don't have alternatives, and they don't, relocation is a big thing. We've started that now,
Which I guess deals with the family, or at least the support system.
That's right.
Relational.
That's right, because we try to, the ones that really want to get themselves out of that mire and change their life. Upon their release, if they go back into the same environment that they came
They're
from,
doomed.
That's right. They got one strike against them already. So there's a lot of private companies and so forth that started up that are working with relocation and reentry programs.
That's great news. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and put on the other hats.
All right.
We've talked about the law enforcement hat. Let's talk about the civil side of what you do.
Yeah, the civil side is a big part of it. Our office is funded. 75% of our office is funded by 3 property millages. One is a permanent millage. The other 2 are renewable every 10 years. We just renewed one last year. We have another one to renew, I think, in 2 more years. But 75% of our budget comes from that property millage tax. And then we have about 25% of our budget comes from fines and fees and related costs.
So what is the size of the sheriff's budget?
Right now we're about 65 to 70 million dollars a year.
Big chunk of change.
Yeah, we have close to 900 employees overall.
And as I understand it, you have spent a lot of money, first of all, addressing the needs of the workforce, your deputies,
Right.
Dealing with pay and benefits and such.
That's exactly right. When I took office, our vehicle fleet was in deplorable condition. It was well over 100,000 miles on every vehicle. So we've upgraded our fleet. We upgraded our equipment. We got emergency equipment, response equipment now.
You're talking about a tower.
We had some.
I love the tower.
That's right. That observation tower has just been worth its weight in gold. You may have seen it around during the holiday season. We move it around from shopping center to shopping center, and it goes 35 feet up in the air. It expands, and it's got cameras, high resolution cameras, and it's recording equipment. It's got computers in there, the whole 9 yards. So it's really a good deterrent.
So for any large gathering of folks, it's used to promote safety.
You'll see it 4th of July. You'll see it downtown. At the riverfront. It'll be down there. So we use it at ball games. We use it out of state fairgrounds with the state fair, and it's been a tremendous help.
And you've upgraded the units not only in terms of the units themselves, that is the vehicles, but with cameras and computers and everything else.
Yeah, we've done all of that, and we're still in the process of outfitting some more of the units with in-car cameras, and we've got a bulletproof vest for the deputies. Just upgrade on weapons. We got tasers for everybody now.
And I think you indicated also that you'd upgraded the computer system so folks can do a lot more just over the internet.
Right, we've got a lot more. You can pay your taxes online now. You can pay a ticket online now, which you couldn't before. And we're working that. We've done a lot in the last 3.5 years. We've got a lot more to do, and hopefully we'll get that opportunity.
So go to the website and you're going to learn a lot and be able to do a lot.
That's exactly right.
Sid, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on the show again. This is
I'm
Locke Meredith with Sid Gautreaux, the Sheriff of East Baton Rouge Parish. Thank you for being with us.